Let me give you a partial, simplified version of George Berkeley's argument for the existence of God, just to illustrate how we might go about criticizing a deductive argument. Berkeley argues like this. The sensory ideas in my mind are produced by some spirit, either me or another spirit. My sensory ideas are stronger, livelier, and more distinct than those which any human can cause in their own imaginations. Therefore, a non-human spirit causes my sensory ideas, and we can call this spirit God. Now, there are basically two ways to criticize a deductive argument. You can attack the validity of the argument, or you can attack the premises of the argument, either by showing that a premise is false, or by showing that the premise is unjustified. Let's start with attacking the validity of an argument. Now, for many arguments, you won't be able to attack their validity. Why? Because philosophers usually make valid arguments, but sometimes they slip up and you can point that out. For example, you could attack our argument like this. Berkeley argues that since our sensory ideas are produced by a spirit, and they are not produced by a human spirit, then they must be produced by God. But just because our ideas are produced by a non-human spirit doesn't necessarily mean that they are produced by God. Maybe an evil demon is producing our sense perceptions, sort of like what Descartes imagined. Now, when you attack the validity of an argument, give a counterexample that shows how the premises could be true while the conclusion is nevertheless false, like the evil demon in this example. The other option is to attack the premises of the argument. Like I said, there are two ways to do this, either by attacking the premise's truth or its justification. First, you can give some reason to think that one of the premises is false. For example, Berkeley says in premise 1 that our sensory ideas are produced by spirits, but modern brain science shows that that's false. Our sensory ideas are produced by electrochemical impulses in our brain, not by spirits. Again, I'm not endorsing this objection as correct, I'm just illustrating. Another way to attack a premise is to show that, even if it is possibly true, we have no reason to believe that it is true. For example, you might argue that Berkeley doesn't give us any reason to think that sensory ideas are caused by spirits rather than physical forces. So unless Berkeley has some other argument to convince me of premise 1, I don't have any reason to accept his conclusion. Now, the same basic principles apply to criticizing inductive arguments. You can attack the strength of the argument, or you can attack the premises of the argument, either by showing that a premise is false, or by showing that a premise is unjustified. So take, for example, the following argument. The 10 swans I've observed have all been white. Therefore, all swans are white. You might attack the strength of this argument by pointing out that 10 swans is a pretty small sample size on which to base this generalization. On the other hand, you might attack the truth of the premises. This works just the same way as attacking the premises of a deductive argument. You try to show that the premises are false, or probably false, or at any rate, not likely to be true. For example, maybe there's a good reason to doubt that the observations were ever really made, or made reliably. Or maybe there are other observations which this induction has not factored in.